Hey everyone, it's Kara here, and I am here for another episode of Dietitian Talk. As you know by now, I am a registered dietitian, and I am here to give you guys my own personal experiences along with my expert opinion. So today I wanted to talk about carb cycling. This is a topic that a couple of you have asked me to speak about, and I also recently had a subscriber ask to give my tips on cutting, not necessarily for a competition, and I really do find carb cycling beneficial. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about that today. Now, I have carb cycled in the past, but it was quite a while ago. It was about 2 years ago. I did carb cycle for my first national competition that I did, North Americans. And my style of carb cycling, let me preface this by saying, once I did more research online, you can find so many different ways that people carb cycle. Everyone does it a little bit differently depending on what website you look on, what coach or trainer you talk to. So I'm just giving you my own personal experiences with what my personal opinion is on carb cycling. I like to not get too technical with things because the more technical stuff is made for me in terms of workouts and diets, the more complicated it is, the more I have to think about it, the more I obsess about it, the more I not want to do it. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm trying to be a little more intuitive with my body and kind of have that balance in my life, so that's the approach I'm taking. But in the past, the way I used to do carb cycling was I had a no carb day, I had a low carb day, and a regular carb day. And when I competed before, I was basically on the generic meal 1 through 5 meal plan. So the way I did it, I don't even know if it really wasn't a high carb day, although that's what I called it. I think at the time I probably took in about 80 to 90 carbs. But basically my high or normal carb day in the past consisted of my first 3 meals consuming starchy carbs, my last 2 to 3 meals only consuming veggies. A moderate carb day for me was only consuming 2 of my carb meals. Meal 1 and 2, I had starchy carbs, and then I had a low carb day or a no carb day where I just consumed either 1 starch meal or I would just do like veggies all day. Although for me at the time, I didn't want to eat veggies 5 times a day, so I would not eat veggies at all, which was really bad because then I just ended up eating protein all day, which was left me feeling very unenergized. So that was one style of carb cycling I did before, but basically with carb cycling, that is the general idea. You're cycling your carbs. Some days you're having the starchy carbs, some days you're not, or maybe you're having a moderate day where you're dropping it down considerably. So the approach I think is very beneficial. I think it's very safe and advantageous for people who are looking to cut, maybe for a competition, maybe not. I think it can be used either way. The process behind it is with carb cycling, you're still getting those days where you're consuming those necessary carbs that give your brain energy. It gives your body the fuel to replenish your glycogen stores. It can really help you on your lifting days to train well, feel strong, feel energized without breaking down muscle. It can make your use of insulin in the body more effective with shuttling nutrients throughout the body. So it can be very beneficial to get in those carbs. And then when you have your lower carb days, essentially your body then can be better burn the fat because you're not having to worry about burning all the carbs, the starchy carbs you're ingesting all day long. Thus you become a better fat burning machine. And by alternating it and not just going all no carb, if that's going to make me a better fat burning machine, I should just do no carb altogether. Well, that's not safe, and you guys can check out my metabolic damage video. But essentially, if you're going to cycle it, that's going to help you to not get you in that point of metabolic damage because you're not screwing with your hormone levels as much. Your leptin levels, your thyroid levels. By cycling it and still getting in those essential carbs, you're not going to hurt yourself as much. And for myself, it worked very well when I did it for a competition. At that point in time, that was 2 years ago, I definitely didn't have the muscle I needed at a national level for bikini, but I did get very lean. That was like probably the best set of abs I had at that time, and I didn't even work abs whatsoever, but I got very, very lean, and I had no rebound either. That was the nice thing. I was training myself back then. I carb cycled like 8 weeks before competition, and when I came off and didn't carb cycle anymore and just went back to my usual eating habits, my usual training habits, that's what was nice, is I didn't have this crazy rebound like I did when I competed before and just did long durations of no carb intake. I had a crazy rebound after that. It was not cool and mentally screwed me up, and you just feel like shit. So with carb cycling, I like it because truly, if you're going to carb cycle, I would suggest what you do is on your lifting days, eat carbs. Make sure you're having your starchy carbs, your regular carb days on those days, and save your non-lifting days for the days that you're either doing a lower carb day or no carbs, or however you decide to do it. Right now, I'm doing a 6-day lifting split, so it would be hard for me to carb cycle and not do some lower carb days while lifting. But my plan is right now, I haven't done this in a while, but it's a little less than 3 weeks out until the Arnold, and I will be there with the MTS Militia and a bunch of other cool people. So you guys, if you're going to be in that area, please stop by and say hello. But about a little under 3 weeks out, and I'm kind of getting to a point where I'm a little bit bored with what I'm doing in terms of my diet. It's just getting a little monotonous with the macro counting and things like that. I'm still doing it, it's fine. It's just not as exciting to me now that I've been doing it over a year. And I would like to just lean out a little bit and see what I can do in a few weeks. So nothing drastic, nothing that's going to harm my health, no extreme measures here. But I do plan to carb cycle a little bit starting tomorrow before the Arnold, just to see if I can lean up a little bit and see, just to play around with it to see how my energy levels are. Because if I am going to compete again, I think this might be the route that I take to compete, or at least for part of my competition prep, I might do that. So I'm planning to do this for 3 weeks, and I am going to have to do some days where I lift, and I'm not going to go no carb, but I probably will have some lower days in there. Now, what I want to say is I am still going to try to practice intuitive eating approaches like I have been with my following my macros. In terms of carb cycling, I still want to listen to my body and be in tune with my body. So if I have a day where I'm planning on doing like lower carbs and I'm trying to hit a lower number and I'm just not feeling right, or I can't think straight, or whatever, I'm just going to still be in tune with my body and, listen to my body and try to give my body what it needs. But with carb cycling, it does take some discipline. You do have to make some sacrifices anytime you're trying to cut. Balance is important to have. But again, depending on what your goals are and how lean you're trying to get, and if you're going to compete, I can't sugarcoat it and say that it's always going to be balanced and perfect. You do have to make sacrifices. It is going to be tough. And carb cycling can be tough, especially on your no carb or lower carb days. So if you've never done this before, I'm just cautioning you with that you do have to have a mental strength there to know you're going into the day and you can't be eating like pancakes all day long. Or like right now, I eat carbs at night quite a bit, like I'll eat starchy carbs at night. However, in terms of my goals, and if I want to lean out, if I'm exercising first thing in the morning, I come home and I sit around my house a lot. I sit around with my husband, play with my dog. I'm not that active when I'm at home. I'm sitting around. So truly, my body doesn't require a lot of starchy carbs at night. So in an ideal world, if you're trying to cut, that's my simple tip for you, even if you don't want to cycle carbs altogether, but omitting the starchy carbs at night. If you're not working out, if you're not requiring a lot of energy at nighttime, then, choose more voluminous foods or veggies and things like that at lower carb, lower calorie, lower fat levels that'll still fill you up without depriving yourself. So for me, I totally got off on a tangentish thing. Tangentish, that's a word, right? So for me, I think that's what I'm planning on doing. So what I was saying was mental strength. So Low carb days, it can be tough because you might be feeling void of a lot of energy. If you are still lifting on a lower carb day, it may not be the best day to try to PR. You just may not feel good, and you just kind of have to know you're going to have those days when you're cutting and when you're trying to get lean and achieve those goals. Some days are going to be tough, and I think oftentimes it's the mental challenge is tougher than truly doing it with the diet. The diet should be the easier part. You can control that part. You can't control what shit's going on up here. And I struggle more with that, which then impacts eating choices. It kind of has a domino effect. So just be mindful of that. It's going to be mentally challenging, but know on your days when you're going lower carb, and you're feeling hungry, it's because you're burning through the fat. You guys you're burning through the fat. That's what you want to do. You're making your body more of an efficient fat burning machine. So I know my husband used to try to remind me of that when I was competing on the days that it was tough. And I'm like, damn, I'm hungry. And he's like, just remember, Kara, you're achieving what you want if you're feeling hungry on those days. And it's not like you're going 8 days without carbs. You're going to have carbs the next day. So you kind of just have to think of your overall goal. So one more thing I did want to say was some approaches out there do recommend on your lower carb days increasing your fat intake. That's really up to you. And again, that's something I'm going to do intuitively. When I was competing, I didn't really have that option. I really try to keep the fat fairly low. And if you do keep the fat fairly low, you are going to probably see more results, at least in the beginning. And then other people do recommend the increase in fat on those days. So what I would suggest is just being in tune with your body, seeing what you need. For myself, if I'm feeling like I really need something else on a low carb day, I used to do maybe like a tablespoon or two of like almond butter or something of that nature. You could do avocado, MCT oil, coconut oil, things like that. Some healthier fat options. So really it's up to you on how you want to carb cycle. I think you can keep it very simple and just have your lifting days where you need more energy, have more carbs. The days you're not lifting, or maybe you're doing a lighter lift or something like, maybe you're doing like calves and abs and cardio. So you don't need a ton of extra carbs, then lower it down a little bit. It doesn't have to be this huge formula of calculations for how you carb cycle. You can find it online if that's what you prefer, but I just prefer keeping it simple. And that works for me, and I think you guys will see good results that way as well. Maybe you want to get a little more precise with calculations if you're competing. I think you just need to know where you're at in terms of your body fat and your metabolism and how you respond. I can see people asking the question about what if you're more carb sensitive? And I think I've addressed this before, but I'll just say I don't know if I really believe in carb sensitivity. That's a little bit blood type diet approach, and I don't necessarily buy into that either. What I will say is I think people can be more carb sensitive. I think it's just a matter of how high is your body fat and how high is your metabolism. So if you compare myself with my husband, who is 3% body fat and he's lean, dude can eat so many carbs and, look even better the next day. Whereas I have no clue what my body fat is. I would say it's 20-ish%, in the 20s, maybe 25%. I have no clue. I can't eat as many carbs. So you guys have to kind of assess where you're at right now. What's your body fat looking like? That's going to dictate your metabolism. Obviously, there's metabolism differences between genders. A male has more testosterone, therefore he is going to be able to eat a little bit more and burn a little bit more and gain more muscle. So just take those things into consideration for where you're starting out in terms of your carbohydrate intake. So right now I consume, on my highest I was doing up to 230 grams of carbs. Right now with cutting I'm about 150. So I will probably lower that, and I haven't really figured out by how much or anything specific like that yet, but I'll just go lower some days and we'll see how it benefits me. So like I said, I've got a few weeks till the Arnold. That's going to be my approach. I'm still going to do it intuitively and see where that gets me. So I think that's it for carb cycling. If you guys have more questions on that topic, like I said, it can get much more scientific, much more formula oriented for how many grams of everything. Oh, I keep protein the same during carb cycling. Some people increase it. I keep it the same, about 1 to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. So yeah, I think that's it on carb cycling. If you guys have more questions about that, feel free to ask below and share your comments and your experiences on carb cycling. I did want to mention and do a shout out to tigerfitness.com, as I do have out my new little, and I'll hold it straight, my new cookbook. Actually, this is a project my husband and I, Shredded Jesus, both worked on, so I am not going to take all the credit for this. But you can find several of my recipes in here that have been posted on Tiger Fitness and some more. So if you guys want to support me and give me some love, you can go to Tiger Fitness and purchase yours now, along with your other MTS goodies. Use discount code Kara for 5% off for that. So please share that with others if you think they'll find it helpful. Please, if you guys like this video, hit that little button there, give it a like. If you don't sub already, please sub. I've got some good shit on my channel. And I think that's it. So keep checking back. I love it when you guys ask me questions and ask for other topics you'd like me to discuss. So please put that below as well. And I think that's it. We'll see you soon. If you guys, again, please stop by and come to the Arnold. See me at whatever table I'm going to be at. I'll probably post it on Instagram. Come by, let's get a picture, and you can chat and ask me any dietitian questions you might have. I'd love to meet you all. So that's it, guys. See you soon. I'll eat my veggies separate, okay? All it does is take away from the flavor of everything I got going on there. So look how delicious this looks. Most people would also get some type of big ass soda with it. I'm just gonna have some Diet 7-Up. I'm not gonna deprive myself of some soda. I want a little soda with my fast food meal. So I